In this video, I will show you how to create a reverse image of your stamp with a mirror stamping technique. I will show you what tools you need and what options there are which you may already have in your stash. Hi, this is Anna from Crafty Anna Studio. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I post card making and paper crafting tutorials. The inspiration for my card today is from Nordic or Scandinavian folk art. Here are some examples of Nordic folk art, repeating patterns with elements that are mirror images of each other. But let's get into the technique of creating mirror images of your stamps. The most important material you will need is a surface made out of photopolymer, which is basically the same material and thickness as a high-quality clear stamp. The stamp positioning tool I'm using for the first part of the tutorial is called a stamp wheel, which is from Altenio, and the mat inside is made out of photopolymer. And for the images, I'll be using the stamp set called Folk Animals from Hero Arts. This is from their October 2023 release. If you do not have a stamp wheel, there are other options available which I will show you later on in the video. But let's begin with the basics. First, I place the cardstock on the surface of the photopolymer base. The grid lines do not come with a marker for an A2 size card panel, so I just added my own with a permanent pen. I am now laying out all the animal stamps I want to create mirror images of onto a piece of white cardstock. I am stamping most of the elements from the stamp set. I will stamp out the images first as it's originally intended, then I will stamp them out again, but this time in reverse using the mirror image technique. After laying down all the stamps, I took the clear plate and placed it down onto the base and locked it into place. I pressed it gently to pick up the stamps. Then I flipped the plate over and locked it into place again. Then I took some black dye ink, and remember, this is very important. Only use dye ink and not pigment ink for this technique. I will then flip the plate over again, lock it into place, and press down, transferring the ink onto the cardstock. And now for the mirror stamping technique. I will flip the plate once again with the stamps facing me. I take the Memento dye ink and gently tap the stamp. Just lightly tap the ink pad all over until I get full coverage. I do not press down hard because if I do, there will be way too much ink and the image will look splotchy. Then I lift the plate and set it aside. I take a blank piece of white cardstock and gently place it down, starting on one side and slowly laying it down. Then I give the cardstock a good press. I removed the cardstock panel and turned it over to reveal the mirror image of the stamps. You can see that the outlines of the images are not very clear, but I can trace it with a waterproof fine liner pen. Here are the two stamped images side by side. You can see the one on the right is not very clear, so I will take a .20 fine liner pen to trace the design. I trace the design one by one to darken the lines. I find this part very therapeutic. It's almost like drawing. As I trace, I keep looking at the original stamp design just to make sure I'm getting all the details right. I'm not aiming for perfection here, but I am still careful I don't miss anything. I will continue tracing the rest of the images off camera. Next, I will show how to die cut them out using the coordinating die. Since the image is in reverse, I will need to die cut the image from the back. I hold it up to the light so I can see the image, then place the die in the correct position, and then I will secure it with washi tape and then die cut it out. I then removed it from the die cutting machine, I turned it over, and voila! Almost perfectly die cut. Next, I will die cut the opposite of the image to show them side by side. Another alternative, if you do not have a stamp wheel, is that you can use the MISTI together with this other new tool from Waffle Flower. This is called a grip mat. This one is a 4 3/4 by 6-inch grip mat which fits into a mini MISTI. This is also made out of photopolymer. This is an absolute game changer for me. I don't have to fiddle around with magnets as it holds my cardstock in place while I stamp, and it also comes in handy with techniques such as this. I remove the foam mat from the mini MISTI and will replace it with a photopolymer mat from Waffle Flower. But first I'll clean the mini MISTI with some alcohol before I place the mat in. For this part of the tutorial, I will use another image, a pair of Christmas stockings from the Fireplace Stamp and Cut set from Hero Arts. I make sure I place a piece of cardstock onto the sticky mat before placing the stamp to prevent the stamp from sticking to the photopolymer base. I ink up the stamps, again tapping the ink pad lightly until I get full coverage. Remove the cardstock before closing the door of the MISTI onto the photopolymer mat. I give it a gentle press, then lift the door to reveal the stamped image. Next, I took a piece of cardstock and placed it slowly and gently on top of the image and pressed it down. Here, the reverse image transferred onto the cardstock. But what if you don't have a stamp wheel and the grip mat? Is there anything else you can use? The answer is yes, and this one you probably have in your stash. Look for a large, clear background stamp like this one from Altenew. It has a large enough surface you can stamp in. This one though won't fit in my mini MISTI, so I chose this one instead, a large stamp from the bookshelf stamp set from Hero Arts. I removed the stamp set and placed it face down onto the MISTI base. The smooth side should be facing up. So this works exactly like the stamp wheel and the grip mat from Waffle Flower. So I ink up the stamps and then I will stamp it down onto the mat. Then I'll use a piece of cardstock to pick up the image in reverse. This technique is very useful, especially for creating double-sided elements, let's say for spinner cards. Speaking of spinner cards, I have a video linked above that you may be interested in. This technique would be perfect for any image you would like to spin in your card. So onto the card I created. I used the images that I had stamped earlier for this card. First, I traced out the outline of a tree in pencil and the tree base as well. Then I laid out the images inside the traced lines. Once I was happy with the position, I glued them down and colored them with alcohol markers. Then with a white gel pen, I added more details like leaves, flowers, and little stars, and filled up all the blank spaces. For the petals and the middles of some flowers, I used alcohol markers over the white gel pen. Then I added the sentiment Happy Christmas heat embossed in red on white cardstock. I hope you found this video inspiring, and please consider subscribing to my channel. This simple technique can certainly be applied to supplies you have in your stash. But if you're interested in checking out the products I did use, they are all listed in my blog post linked below. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, bye!